At the engagement banquet, my two childhood sweethearts straight up suggested that I should draw lots to pick a wife. Among the girls there, whoever pulled the paper slip with a turtle on it would marry me. But unexpectedly, the one who was supposed to go first just yanked over a passing waitress to take her spot. By the time the waitress figured out what the hell was going on, she was already holding the slip with the turtle drawn on it. That's when it hit me. My two childhood sweethearts had totally staged this whole damn act together, forcing me to pick a mute waitress as my fiancée just to clown on me and humiliate me in front of everybody. Their real vibe was just to vent their anger for that poor student they were crushing on. Just when they thought I'd bow my head, apologize to the poor dude, and then pick one of them as my fiancée again, to their absolute shock, I grabbed the waitress's hand right in front of everyone and announced loud and clear that she was the one I'd marry. Chapter 1. George, since you can't decide between Maria and me, let's keep it simple. Draw lots to choose your wife, Willow proposed, and Maria standing beside her nodded like crazy, clearly hyped as hell by the idea. Whoever draws the slip with the word turtle on it will be the one you marry. How about that? I looked at the two childhood sweethearts in front of me. Willow's face was full of that sneaky cunning, and Maria's eyes were brimming with straight-up anticipation. Although I felt kinda uneasy deep down, thinking of how I'd spoiled them rotten all these years, I reluctantly nodded yeah. But who could have seen it coming? Willow straight-up played dirty against the rules. She was supposed to draw first, yet she suddenly dragged over a young waitress, forcing her hand into the lot box. The waitress looked totally confused as fuck, and before she could even react, Willow had already snatched the slip from her hand and unfolded it all proud. Fahurtle. As she said it, she deliberately flashed it to everyone there. I stared at the turtle drawn on the slip, veins popping on the back of my hand. Of course it was a turtle. After all, when they talked me into this dumb game of drawing lots for a wife, I'd ask them, what if someone else drew the turtle? Willow had sworn all confident, it's just for show. I already drew turtles on every damn slip, and since I'll be the first to draw, your wife will definitely be me. Maria had also rushed to say she would draw first. Seeing how prepared they were, I didn't want to kill their vibe, so I agreed. But I never expected. At that moment, Willow threw a playful glance at Makoto nearby, then looked back at me, her tone kinda provocative as hell. George, now that this mute waitress drew the turtle by the rules, you gotta marry her. I glared at Makoto. He was a poor student my family had sponsored, and right now he was smiling faintly, like he'd known this shit all along. The waitress was mute, but her hearing was sharp AF. Realizing everyone was mocking her, she waved her hands frantically, signing her refusal like crazy. Willow only sneered, "You're just a waitress and a mute at that. Do you even know who George is? He's the only heir of the richest family in City A, the Wangs. If he wants to marry you, shouldn't you be grateful as hell? How dare you act ungrateful?" The waitress's expression dimmed, her hands falling weakly at her sides. She knew that in this banquet hall, before all these rich heirs and heiresses, she was nothing more than meat on the chopping block, totally at their mercy. Seeing my dark-ass expression in silence, Maria hurried to smooth shit over. "George, Willow is joking. Of course you're not really gonna marry this mute. She's just pissed because you embarrassed Makoto at the table earlier. Why don't you just apologize to Makoto and then we'll call it even?" That was when I finally got it. I raised my head, looking at Willow in disbelief. "So the reason you pushed me into this game was all for Makoto? For him, you were willing to treat my marriage like a damn joke?" What pissed me off even more was that Makoto had stayed chill from beginning to end, which meant the three of them had planned this bullshit together, keeping me in the dark as the only fool. My gaze swept across Maria and Willow. Now that I'd called them out, Maria dared not meet my eyes. Willow's face flashed with a hint of embarrassment, but she still talked stubborn AF. "If you don't apologize, then you have to marry this mute." Since I didn't spare even a glance at Makoto, clearly not about to apologize, Willow lost her temper too. She yanked the waitress forward and shoved her roughly toward me. "You're gonna marry him. The two of you might as well start getting acquainted." The waitress stumbled, nearly falling, but I reacted quick, catching her in my arms. I held her steady before letting go. The girl in front of me looked no more than 20, her delicate face now pale with panic. Using sign language, I exchanged a few words with her and quickly learned the basics of her situation. Meanwhile, Willow was still mocking loud as hell, the dignified young master of the Wang family marrying a lowly waitress, and a mute no less. You'll bring utter disgrace to the Wangs. Just wait until everyone in our circle laughs their asses off at you. And then, before she could finish, my firm voice cut through the hall. I'll marry her. Chapter 2, I never joke. As my resolute words dropped, the noisy commotion around us abruptly stopped dead. The mockery on Willow's face froze in an instant. Her eyes widened, staring at me in disbelief. What did you just say? My gaze stayed firm as I repeated clearly, I said I will follow the rules of the game, and marry her. I gripped the waitress's wrist tight, the strength of my hold passing through her sleeve, giving her an inexplicable sense of reassurance. Seeing this, Maria grew flustered AF, rushing out in panic to try to salvage the mess. George must be teasing everyone. He's always been so good to Willow and me. How could he possibly marry a mute so casually? On the sofa, a flicker of complex emotion flashed across Makoto's eyes, but it vanished quick. The corners of his lips curved into a faint smile, as though the whole thing had nothing to do with him. I think George just wants to put on a show in front of everyone. He doesn't really intend to marry her. Once this is over, he can easily find an excuse to ditch the waitress. For the Wang family, that would be nothing more than child's play. The moment Willow and Maria heard this, they immediately chilled out, their panic gone without a trace. When they looked at me again, their faces were filled only with straight-up disgust. George, didn't you agree that whoever drew the turtle would be the one you marry? To go back on your word now doesn't seem very manly. Their mocking words stabbed at me like thorns, piercing deep as hell. The disdain on their faces made my breath catch in my chest. It hadn't always been like this. When I was a kid, I suffered from autism, trapped in my own world, shutting out all signals from the outside. Doctors warned that if this kept up, I might never be able to integrate into society, completely cut off from the world. Until one day I was kidnapped by human traffickers, and happened to be spotted by Willow and Maria on their way home from school. The two little girls were unbelievably brave. To save me, they dared to stall and argue with the traffickers. In the struggle, Willow's neck was strangled red by the thug, and Maria's arm was cut by his knife. Let them go. I've already called the police. Those were the first words I ever shouted out loud in panic. In the end, with the help of passers-by, I was rescued, and the traffickers were arrested. From that day on, I got to know those two girls. I no longer avoided their company and instead tried to overcome my barriers to interact with them. Gradually, my autism improved. We grew up together as the closest childhood companions. Back then, they always put me first. When someone maliciously broke my model car, they would stand up for me and scold the culprit fiercely. When people spread slander about them, I would fight tooth and nail to find the liar and defend their honor. Over time, it seemed they had developed feelings for me. Everyone in our circle knew they liked me, and all assumed I would marry one of them. Because of that, my family never arranged any blind dates for me all these years. But everything changed with the arrival of Makoto. Makoto was one of the poor students sponsored by my family. After graduating from university, in order to express his gratitude, he insisted on treating me to dinner. During that meeting, his words were filled with self-deprecation. To preserve his dignity, I agreed to go. That day, Willow and Maria came along as well. After that brief encounter with Makoto, their visits to me became fewer and fewer. Instead, they grew closer and closer to him. At first, I thought it was just their outgoing nature and that they had tons of friends. But when they used my marriage as a joke simply to cheer Makoto up, I finally got it. In their hearts, my spot had already been replaced by him. Taking a deep breath, I spoke calmly yet firmly. You seem to have forgotten, I never joke. Chapter 3, Humiliation. The moment those words left my mouth, Willow and Maria were both stunned again. George, because of his childhood experiences, never joked. He was infamous for being deadly serious. They still remembered that one time when, on a whim, they said they wanted to raise a little wild boar as a pet. To their shock, George didn't say a word but instead ran straight into the mountains and actually brought one back for them. When George appeared before them, his body covered in wounds, his clothes torn, yet clutching a little wild boar tightly in his arms, the two girls had been completely dumbfounded. The Wang family's butler even added fuel to the fire, saying that George had caught several boars but rejected them all, insisting he had to bring back the smallest one. It was then they realized that George's word was as solid as iron. Every promise he made, he kept. How could they have forgotten that? As I was about to have the servants take the waitress away to settle at the Wang residence, Willow's expression turned ice cold. She suddenly shoved the waitress hard, then looked at me with icy eyes. George, this time we only wanted to teach you a lesson. Who told you to humiliate Makoto at the dinner table? Maria picked up Willow's words and chimed in. That's right. Why did you bully him? It's not his fault he comes from a poor family. The two of them clung tight to what happened at the table, trying to pin the blame on me. Finally, I couldn't hold it in any longer. My expression darkened. Are you sure it was me who humiliated him? I pulled the waitress, who had been pushed around and left helpless, behind me, served her a bowl of soup, and told her to eat something while she waited. Then I turned back to face Willow and Maria, my voice tinged with both anger and helplessness. You really don't know what went down at the table just now? Makoto, under the guise of studying psychology, kept prying into my past with autism. You both know how unbearable those days were for me, how I clawed my way out of that darkness. His relentless questioning was nothing but an attempt to tear open my scars, rip apart the flesh I worked so hard to heal, and then sprinkle salt into the wound. And you know the doctors warned me not to dwell too much on the past or else the autism could relapse. Besides, since when does psychology mean ripping open people's scars? Even my former therapist never forced me to recall memories I didn't want to revisit. I only snapped back at him with a single line. How is that considered humiliating him? If he wallows in self-pity and you sympathize with him, that's your business. But your way of pleasing him, of siding with him, is built on treating me like a clown. This ends here. From now on we go our separate ways. I poured everything out in one breath, as though all the grievances and injustice I had endured these past days had finally found release. Those present were stunned into silence by my words. In their impression, Makoto was the boy who cried to get what he wanted, while I was the kind of child who, even with only one piece of candy, would hand it over to Makoto without hesitation if the adults asked. So little by little, they had all overlooked just how lonely that boy in the shadows truly was, the one who could only look up at others' happiness, and how much silent suffering he had borne. Willow and Maria exchanged a glance. It seemed even they realized they had gone too far this time. Just as they were about to speak, Makoto suddenly rushed forward, tugging at their sleeves. It's all my fault. I'm the sinner who caused the misunderstanding between you and George. I'll leave now and never disturb you again. Chapter 4, I Do. He had fair skin and a boyish gentle face. At this moment, his eyes were slightly red, and those puppy-like eyes softened Willow's heart against her will. She instinctively held on to Makoto and said firmly, "You're not allowed to leave. We'll be your friends and no one can stop us." Maria quickly echoed, "This has nothing to do with you, you don't need to blame yourself. If anyone is at fault." Her gaze suddenly turned cold as she glared fiercely at the waitress. It's that mute who doesn't know her place. She should recognize her status. How dare she dream of marrying George? Get out of here. I noticed the waitress's body tremble slightly. Maria's absurd logic made me laugh out of straight anger. How had I never realized before that this was what they were truly like? The fault was mine for being blind as hell. As the waitress, humbled and timid, was about to leave, I once again took hold of her wrist and looked coldly at Willow and Maria. Let me make this clear today. I, George, never go back on my word once it's spoken. From now on, you will show her respect. She is not a mute, she is your sister-in-law. As my words fell, Willow and Maria's faces darkened terribly. But the disdain in their eyes as they looked at my unknown fiancé remained. George, I want to see whether you really intend to bring this mute home as your wife. With that, the two of them left with Makoto. The guests also dispersed one after another. The birthday banquet ended on such an unpleasant note. Even my grandfather's gaze at me carried deeper meaning. At last, he only said, "You brat, you brought this trouble on yourself, now you deal with it. You've spoken your vow in front of everyone today. Don't let people laugh at you. Otherwise, I'll be the first to break your legs." "Grandpa, I understand." After that, I sent my grandfather off. For a moment, the grand banquet hall was left with only me and the waitress. I saw her head lowered, her slender fingers nervously twisting together. Suddenly, I remembered, when Makoto had been forcing questions about my autism at the banquet earlier, while others were either silent, curious, or even gloating, this little waitress had been the only one standing up, gesturing nonstop. Others couldn't understand, but I could. Because of my autism, I had learned sign language. She had been signing over and over, "Don't bring up autism again, it could relapse." When she saw that Makoto either didn't understand or was deliberately pressing me, in her desperation, she even tried to cover his mouth with a napkin. It was precisely because of this that Willow and Maria noticed her and used her as their pawn to humiliate me. Thinking of this, guilt welled up inside me as I looked at her. In the end, it was I who had dragged her into this mess. Although I had already asked about her basic situation through sign language earlier, she was unmarried, had no boyfriend, and was currently single. I still motioned for her to sit down. Just as I was about to ask whether she felt wronged marrying me, she signed first, saying that she was the one who had dragged me down. But I told her I was truly willing to marry her. Looking at her pure lily-like face, her delicate brows and eyes, in the past, I had no concept of beauty. But now, I felt this girl was genuinely pleasing to the eye, bringing a sense of lightness and joy to my heart. Before, I never knew what kind of wife I wanted. But at this moment, I suddenly felt that if the one to share the rest of my life was this girl before me, then the future was something I could look forward to with hope. So I signed to her. The Wang family has an ancestral rule: one lifetime, one partner. If anyone breaks it, they will be expelled from the Wang family, their name erased from the genealogy, and from then on, they will no longer be part of the Wang family, in life or in death. I will do everything I can to treat you well. Will you give me this chance? Our eyes met. She looked at me just as she had years ago, just as in her dreams, unchanged. Her heart stirred, and she nodded immediately. Slowly but firmly she signed, "I do." Chapter 5. A Touch of Romance. I learned that my fiancée's name was Anna. She was not only beautiful, but even her name sounded pleasant as hell. She casually mentioned that she was all alone and said nothing about her past. I assumed she was an orphan, so following my grandfather's wishes, I arranged for her to settle down in the Wang residence. To restore the family's reputation, my grandfather wanted us to marry as soon as possible, and the wedding date was set for just half a month later. For this reason, we decided to live together in advance so we could get to know each other better. Of course, before the wedding, Anna would continue to stay in the guest room. The next morning, when I woke up, the dining table was already loaded with breakfast. At first, I thought it was prepared by the servants, but upon closer look, the dishes were quite different from the usual stuff. Just as I was full of doubt, Anna walked out of the kitchen, carrying a steaming pot of soup. Since I usually treated everyone with kindness, the servants weren't overly cautious around me. One of them smiled and said, "Miss Su got up before dawn and insisted on making breakfast for you herself." I told her this was our job, but she wouldn't listen. "Just look at this meal. The color, aroma, and taste are all perfect. Her cooking skills are far better than ours. Young master, please try it." Hearing this, I immediately rolled up my sleeves, took the bowl of soup from Anna's hands, and said seriously, "You don't need to cook. That's what the servants are here for. If you do it, they'll feel uneasy. Besides, when you marry into the Wang family, you'll be my wife, not a housemaid. If you feel bored, I'll take you out later to buy some things you like. Just focus on what makes you happy." But Anna only smiled and signed, "I like cooking." When she was abroad, she wasn't used to hiring servants, so she did everything herself. For her, cooking wasn't just a survival skill, it was a form of comfort, like how some people relied on music or binge-watching dramas to relax. For her, making delicious food was a way to relieve stress. And especially, she glanced at me, her delicate brows and eyes carrying a touch of spring warmth. Cooking for someone she liked gave her an even greater sense of fulfillment. Seeing this, my heart warmed. I smiled back and said, "If you truly enjoy it, then next time we'll cook together. I'll keep you company." I thought nothing more of it. I just wanted to do something together with the one I was drawn to, no matter what it was. Although my grandfather said he wouldn't interfere with my decisions, as the only bloodline of the Wang family and the child he had raised himself, how could he not worry about my marriage? So under the excuse of being too lonely, he moved in with us, secretly observing. When he saw that Anna and I communicated entirely in sign language, his brows furrowed in suspicion. He looked at the butler. "Didn't you say the granddaughter-in-law could hear perfectly fine and just couldn't speak? Then why doesn't George talk at all? What are they saying? Translate for me." The butler, who had once learned sign language to take care of me, thought their gestures weren't anything secret, so he explained, "Master, haven't you noticed? When they speak in sign language, their eyes are fixed only on each other." My grandfather suddenly understood something and gave a light snort. This brat. After breakfast, I took Anna out. I thought she would want to shop for clothes, bags, or jewelry. But instead, she went straight to a music store and picked out a pile of instruments. Seeing her so fascinated, I assumed she wanted to learn. Without hesitation, I bought them all and even cleared out a large storeroom at home to convert it into a music room. Once everything was set up, I asked if she needed a music teacher. But Anna only smiled silently, walked straight to the piano, and sat down with elegant poise. Chapter 6, Outstanding in Every Way. A rendition of the third piano concerto suddenly flowed from her fingertips, at times vigorous and powerful, resonant and passionate, at times nimble and tranquil, sorrowful yet graceful. I was completely captivated, unable to pull myself out until Anna's gentle gaze fell upon me, pulling me back to awareness. My emotions were tangled and indescribable. It was well known that this concerto was not only rich in emotion but also renowned worldwide for its technical difficulty. Yet Anna's mastery of the piano was flawless, perfected to the highest level. Seeing me silent, Anna thought I didn't like it. She signed softly, "Do you like the guzheng?" My expression shifted slightly, curiosity flickering in my eyes. "You can play the guzheng too?" Anna smiled faintly, walked over to the guzheng, and plucked the strings lightly. A soothing, graceful melody began to flow. Ethereal and healing, it felt as though it could wash away the dust from one's soul, transporting the listener into a pastoral scene of plucking chrysanthemums by the eastern fence, gazing leisurely at the southern mountain. I felt even more strongly that Anna was like a hidden treasure waiting for me to discover her depths. Unable to resist, I moved closer, wanting to learn more about her talents. What followed was practically Anna's personal talent showcase, straight fire. She alone seemed to be an entire orchestra. Every instrument in the music room came alive in her hands, weaving together into beautiful symphonies, no cap. Soon the entire villa was drawn in by the soothing sound, as though their very eardrums were cleansed. Everyone's eyes on Anna grew more respectful, even reverent, for real. When the music ended, Anna looked at me expectantly, like a student awaiting her teacher's evaluation. A flicker of unease crossed my face as I awkwardly signed. How could an amateur like me dare to comment? The butler, knowing my reserved nature and poor way with words, teased with a laugh. "Young master, just tell her, do you like it or not?" I nodded repeatedly and said seriously, "Anna is amazing. I like it very much." Then, as if remembering something, I added, "Of course, even if Anna weren't amazing, as long as she is Anna, I will like her." At that, gentle laughter spread through the room and Anna's cheeks flushed pink as she shyly lowered her head. Outside the door, my grandfather witnessed it all, his gaze growing deeper. He had thought Anna was introverted and insecure, but the more he observed, the more he realized, not only was she not insecure, she carried herself with the grace and composure of a true noblewoman, legit. Her poise and dignity far surpassed those of ordinary socialites. Silently, my grandfather mused, Anna's temperament and upbringing could not have been nurtured by any ordinary family. It seemed necessary to investigate her background. As for me, I had always preferred peace and quiet. But to fit into Willow and Maria's world, I had been forced to endure parties and occasions I disliked. Total drag. Anna, however, was different. She seemed to understand my preferences and feelings instinctively, and her interests aligned with mine. Vibe check passed. When I worked in the study, Anna would quietly sit on the sofa reading, never disturbing me. Whenever I looked up, I would catch her gentle, graceful expression. Noticing my gaze, she would smile, pour me a cup of tea, and we would clink cups in silence, our affection deepening in that wordless understanding feels. When she felt like making desserts, I would put aside my work without hesitation and join her in whisking eggs and kneading dough. She, with her skillful hands, would create all sorts of adorable pastries for our afternoon tea. Cute AF. When I exercised in the gym, she would join me, sometimes trying a few couples workout poses, though always keeping just the right boundary, never crossing the line. Anna was also an excellent chess player. When my grandfather played to pass the time, she would step forward and challenge him for a few rounds. As the saying goes, chess reveals the person. Though Anna would sometimes let my grandfather take a few pieces, her moves were sharp yet fluid, airtight yet steady, always progressing toward victory. My grandfather couldn't help recalling how, when I encountered difficulties in Wang Corporation's affairs, Anna could always offer precise, effective solutions. At that moment, his gaze upon Anna grew even more profound. Chapter 7. The truth. As the wedding day drew closer, I took Anna to pick up our wedding rings. We went straight to Tiffany. In City A's circle of the elite, Tiffany was a household name. Every piece of its custom jewelry was a masterpiece, and especially the diamond ring known as one can only ever give to one person in a lifetime. That ring was so popular, it drew countless couples to it. A few days earlier, I had already custom-ordered a ring based on Anna's finger size, and today we were here to pick it up. But just as we entered the store, we spotted Makoto, whom we hadn't seen in days. He was standing there, his eyes fixed on a jade pendant in the window. I heard this Buddha head pendant can bring luck. My fortune hasn't been good lately, maybe I've been targeted by petty people, Makoto muttered to himself. It's just a Buddha head. If you like it, I'll buy it for you, Maria's voice came, filled with flattery. Willow, on the other hand, sneered disdainfully at the pendant. It's only a Buddha head. Makoto, this Rolex suits you much better. Thank you, Willow Maria. You're both so kind to me, Makoto replied, grinning, clearly basking in the attention. The three of them, truly they were like lingering shadows. I cursed silently, intending to quietly avoid them. But just as I turned, Maria's sharp eyes caught me. George, what are you doing here? Maria asked, feigning surprise. What else would I be doing here? I replied coolly, my eyes betraying my impatience. Willow, dissatisfied with my attitude, immediately started scolding. George, didn't we already make it clear? As long as you apologize to Makoto, we'll let bygones be bygones. And now you bring this mute here. Are you deliberately showing off in front of us? Her voice carried open provocation. At that, I couldn't help but laugh in disdain. I had already explained everything that day, yet they still thought I was in the wrong. Did they expect me to bow my head to Makoto and let them trample me? I did nothing wrong. Why should I apologize to him? I looked coldly at Willow, enunciating each word. And what do you mean by showing off? Do you really think you're worth me doing something so petty? My tone was firm, leaving no room for compromise. George, what do you mean by that? Both Willow and Maria snapped at once, their faces full of anger. Oh, so now you're bold enough to throw your attitude at us? Is it that mute whispering behind your back? A mute, and you still want her? Willow rattled on, her voice dripping with contempt. I sneered inwardly. I wasn't a fool to be manipulated at will. My IQ was 150, otherwise my grandfather would never have entrusted me with the Wang Corporation. All these years, I had obeyed them simply out of gratitude for their help when we were young. But that debt had already been repaid. I would no longer allow them to act with impunity. I've already warned you, she is my fiancée. You should treat her with respect. If you don't know how to respect people, I don't mind teaching you. My tone was ice cold, edged with threat. George, is this really necessary? I told you we could just play that game again. This time I'll definitely get the turtle, Maria muttered jealously, unwilling to accept that I kept protecting Anna. Enough. I have no interest in your childish games, I snapped impatiently. If you want to pamper Makoto, find someone else. Don't bother me again. At my words, Willow's expression cracked slightly, her eyes widening in surprise. You knew, Willow's voice trembled. I sneered inwardly. Of course I knew. After my grandfather's birthday banquet, I had ordered the butler to investigate. I discovered that the whole idea had been Makoto's, and they had actually agreed to it. Such behavior was beyond despicable. It was also the final straw that severed any lingering ties I had with them. With my wedding to Anna just days away, I had no time to waste on them. So I pulled Anna along and went straight to the staff handling our order. They led us into the Black Diamond VIP room before heading off to fetch our custom diamond ring. But just as we sat down, a commotion broke out outside the door. Chapter 8, Blind Eyes My Fault. Ladies, I've already explained very clearly, this necklace was specially custom ordered by Mr. Wang. If you need one, we can make a new order and it'll only take a few days. As for this set of necklace and wedding rings, I'm sorry, but we cannot sell them to you. The staff patiently explained. Not long after, Willow and Maria suddenly barged in, both asking with puzzled expressions, "Why are you buying a wedding ring? Why was I buying a wedding ring? Did they really not know? Why pretend ignorance here?" Even if they didn't want to believe my words, just by asking around, they could easily find out that the Wang family was in the midst of preparing my wedding in full swing. In the end, it was simply that they didn't care about me anymore. I already said it very clearly just now. My tone carried both helplessness and anger. Maria, who had been staring at me, suddenly seemed to think of something and laughed. "George, impossible. You must just be secretly buying a ring to give me a surprise, right?" Willow, however, sneered with disdain. "Since you ordered the necklace anyway, why not let Makoto try it on?" Makoto tugged at Willow's sleeve and whispered, "Willow, even if those are things George doesn't want, I don't deserve to wear them." Willow and Maria looked at him with pained affection. Willow then said to me directly, "George, you can't possibly wear so many pieces of jewelry. Just let Makoto pick one first." Maria was relatively gentler. "George, you won't be able to wear them all. Just spare one for Makoto." I looked at them coldly, a wave of disgust rising in my chest. How had I never realized before that these two could be so shameless? They were practically no different from robbers. Not to mention, these necklaces were women's pieces. Even if they weren't, why should I give them to an ingrate like Makoto? I paid to custom order these pieces. Why should I give them to him for free? The moment I said that, both Willow and Maria's faces darkened. "George, we're all human. Why do you look down on Makoto just because of his background?" Makoto was right. You're nothing but a snob, unwilling to spare even a necklace. Though I had already lost all expectations of them, seeing them shield Makoto to this extent, even discarding their basic decency, I couldn't help but laugh in anger. "I'd sooner put these on a dog than give them to him," I retorted without hesitation. Makoto said nothing, but his eyes turned red. Willow and Maria immediately panicked, distressed on his behalf. "Don't be sad, Makoto. I'll buy all of these necklaces for you." Willow glared fiercely at me, then turned and told the staff to prepare the bill. At that moment, Makoto stepped toward me, raising his hand to show the ring on his finger. "Look, this ring was given to me by Willow. She said it can only ever be given to one person in a lifetime." He even removed the ring, holding it out so I could see the engraving inside. But I had already lost all interest in them. Seeing Makoto buzzing in front of me non-stop like a fly, blocking the space between Anna and me and interfering with us trying on jewelry, I finally lost my patience. I raised my fist and punched Makoto. He staggered back several steps before regaining his footing, staring at me in shock, needing several moments to recover. Willow and Maria, realizing what had happened, immediately grabbed at me, demanding an apology. "George, you've gone too far. Apologize to Makoto right now." Apologize. Apologize for what? I was wrong, I suddenly said. Hearing me admit fault, Willow and Maria's expressions softened slightly. But in the very next second, I turned the words around. My fault was being blind. Forever knowing the two of you. Anna, let's go. This place is filthy. We don't need these things anymore. With that, I pulled Anna with me to leave. But Willow, spoiled and domineering as always, and seeing me constantly holding Anna's hand, rushed forward to block our path. George, apologize to Makoto or don't even think about leaving this store today. I looked calmly at Willow and Maria, who glared at me with furious eyes. Whether I leave or not isn't for you to decide. Willow raised her hand, ready to slap me, but it was stopped. It was Anna. Her slender fingers gripped Willow's wrist firmly, and no matter how Willow struggled, she couldn't break free. Seeing this, Willow grew even more furious. You're just a mute. No power, no status. And you dare meddle in our affairs? I'll beat you today and teach you a lesson about your place. As she lifted her other hand to strike Anna, my expression darkened sharply. I was about to push her away when the store manager arrived with security. They stopped Willow and then bowed respectfully in my and Anna's direction. Our young lady has given instructions. In this store, no jewelry will ever be sold to anyone except Mr. Wang. Chapter 9. You are not worthy. The manager cast a glance at Willow and the others, then immediately instructed the security guards, "What are you all standing around for? Hurry and throw these troublemakers out. And you, what's the point of having you here? Our distinguished guests are being harassed and you don't know enough to step in at once and resolve the problem." The manager snatched the shopping bag from Makoto's hand. Makoto was furious. You call this doing business? Why won't you sell to me? But the manager remained unmoved. At Tiffany, we do business as we please. Whoever offends Mr. Wang, we will drive out directly. Makoto's face twisted in anger, and he tried to save face by snapping. You think we actually care about your worthless junk? Willow, as a socialite, knew Tiffany's status very well. Her face darkened. Manager Marco, I order jewelry from you every year. And now you say you won't sell to me? Miss Liu, I'm sorry. Marco's tone was polite but firm as he ordered the three of them out. Willow still tried to argue. Manager Marco, who is this young lady of yours? As far as I remember, I've never offended her. Couldn't you let us meet her to see if there's some misunderstanding? The manager cast a subtle glance at Anna beside him. Seeing her remain silent, his expression cooled and he said faintly, You want to meet our young lady? You're not worthy. With that, he motioned for security to drive the three of them out. Once the farce ended and the eyesores were gone, the manager turned respectfully to Anna and reported, Miss, everything has been handled according to your instructions. I looked at Anna in shock. She turned out to be Tiffany's young lady, the one in charge of the entire brand. Perhaps seeing my surprise, Anna hurriedly signed an explanation. She hadn't meant to hide it from me. She wasn't really a waitress that day. She had only put on a server's uniform to avoid some minor trouble. Unexpectedly, by a twist of fate, she ended up forming a bond with me. Hearing this, I felt relieved. After all, under the circumstances that day, an ordinary person truly wouldn't have been able to just slip into my grandfather's birthday banquet. Only if that was the case, I knew Tiffany was a century-old family enterprise. Naturally, Anna couldn't possibly be without family. With our wedding drawing near, both emotionally and properly, I should first visit her parents. Yet a fleeting shadow crossed Anna's eyes, and she quickly signed that her marriage was her own decision. I didn't need to visit her family. Her resolute stance made it clear she was hiding something, but I didn't press further. Instead, I simply squeezed her fingers and said, We'll do as you wish. Then I slowly let go. Because of the earlier farce, I no longer wanted the wedding rings and necklaces we had originally chosen. So I decided to order new ones. Together, we selected fresh rings and gifts for the bride from the catalog. After taking the measurements, the manager smiled and said, Once they're completed, we'll deliver them directly to your residence. But just before we returned home, Anna told me she would temporarily be leaving the Wang residence. She wanted to return first and prepare herself as a bride-to-be. Then she handed me an address. I glanced at it. It was in the city's most expensive land-like gold estate district. In that moment, I couldn't help but feel that Anna's background was far deeper than I had imagined. Chapter 10, Her Background. When I returned alone to the villa, my grandfather was already waiting in the living room. Seeing me somewhat dazed and by myself, he seemed to guess something and said, "Come to the study." As soon as we entered, he asked, "Why did you come back alone? Where's Anna?" I raised my hand instinctively, wanting to use sign language, but then remembered it was my grandfather in front of me. So I said aloud, "She went back to her own home first." My grandfather's expression dimmed slightly at that. "And will she come back?" I froze for a moment. "Grandpa, what do you mean? She only said she went home to prepare for the wedding. Is there something wrong with Anna's identity?" "So you've noticed as well." In the study, my grandfather walked slowly, his expression unusually heavy and solemn. "I won't hide it from you. From the beginning, I felt Anna wasn't an ordinary person, so I secretly investigated her background. All I could find was that she went abroad when she was very young and only returned a month ago. As for what happened today at Tiffany, I heard about it too. Do you think the power behind Tiffany could belong to just some ordinary wealthy family?" And indeed, that was also the unease I had always felt. Grandfather continued, "The most important thing is this. Aside from vague records of when she went abroad and when she returned, nothing else could be found. Nothing at all. There are only two possible reasons for this. 1. Anna truly is an orphan with no family behind her. But clearly, that's not the case. That leaves the other possibility. Her background is far deeper than anything I can imagine or reach. Her identity must have been deliberately concealed. That's why no trace of her can be found." I looked at my grandfather in shock. Even though I had now inherited the Wong Corporation, I had always regarded my grandfather as the ultimate authority. Not only out of filial piety, but also because in this circle his status and ability carried immense weight. Yet now, even he couldn't find anything. Then Anna's identity. Seeing the flicker of confusion on my face and recalling everything Anna and I had experienced together these past days, my grandfather knew our feelings for each other were genuine. He patted my shoulder and said the old words, "Anna is a good child. You know the ancestral rule of the Wong family. We do not annul marriages because of a complicated background. The only concern is if Anna cannot make her own decisions about marriage. If that happens, our Wong family may not even be qualified to marry her. If the Su family blocked the marriage, the Wong family would be powerless." I knew my grandfather spoke only out of concern for me. The bones of my hand clenched so tightly that they turned pale, yet I still nodded firmly. "I understand, Grandpa." That night, I couldn't sleep a wink. The next morning, I rose early to continue preparing for the wedding. After all, Anna had said it herself, her marriage was her own choice. And even if in the end things turned out otherwise, I still didn't want to give up. I still wanted to try. 3 days later, I finally had everything prepared. Just then, a servant walked in carrying a flower pot and asked me, "Young master, this peony hasn't been watered for a long time. It's dead." I looked at the snow tower white peony Willow had once given me. I used to water it personally, but recently, with all the chaos Willow and Maria had caused, I hadn't paid it any attention. The peony had withered and died. Perhaps our relationship was like this flower, already consumed and drained away, dying bit by bit. Throw it away. The words had barely left my mouth when I turned around and met Willow's furious face. "George, is this how you treat my token of affection?" I frowned, glancing at Willow, Makoto, and Maria. These three, did they really think the Wong residence was a marketplace? "Butler, what are you standing there for? Get them out of here. And if stray cats and dogs are ever allowed in again, then you all won't need to stay here either." I rarely spoke so harshly to the butler, but Willow and the others knew very well. Those words were really directed at them. Willow panicked, stepped forward quickly, and pulled out a pair of rings, trying to shove one into my hand. "We came especially to give you these couple rings. Don't drive us out." But I avoided her hand as though it carried a plague, my eyes filled only with cold indifference. "Those rings, give them to whoever you like. George, don't care. I'll say it again. Now, immediately, get out. My voice rose, carrying an unmistakable threat. Maria and Willow exchanged a panicked glance, unwillingness and fear flashing in their eyes, just about to speak again. At that moment, my mother appeared, smiling brightly. George, look who's here. I turned my head. Behind her stood Tiffany's manager, and beside him, a young woman in a beige dress, pure and refined. Her makeup was light, her waterfall-like hair draping over her shoulders. She looked like a fairy descending to earth, dazzling in her presence. My heart stirred slightly. She looked familiar, yet I couldn't recall where I had seen her before. This is Anna, your fiancée. Don't tell me you can't recognize her just because she changed clothes? My mother chuckled from the side. But truly, when I first saw her just now, even I was stunned. She's beautiful whether in simple dress or with elegance. Hearing the name Anna, I finally dared to set my gaze fully upon her. Chapter 11, Insignificant People. The Anna I remembered was as simple and pure as a white flower, yet at this moment, she was radiant like a luminous pearl. Thinking about how we hadn't seen each other for 3 days, an inexplicable wave of emotion rose within me. I couldn't help but take a step forward, wanting to be closer to her. Anna felt the same, but when her eyes fell on Willow and the others, a trace of tension flashed across them. She asked in sign language, "Why are they here?" "They're insignificant people. You don't need to bother with them," I replied indifferently. Then I asked Anna, "And you? Did you come here especially to see me?" Before Anna could respond, it was Tiffany's manager who spoke up. "Didn't you recently reorder the wedding gown, rings, and other items? Both the bride's and groom's sets are ready, so I brought them over for you to try." I hadn't expected the manager to know sign language, but thinking of the respectful way he treated Anna, it made sense. Learning sign language must have been his way to better attend to her. Afterward, my gaze swept casually toward Willow and the others, and my lips curved into a cold smile. According to the original schedule, tomorrow is the day of the formal betrothal visit. What do you think? The manager's words were partly about procedure, but mostly meant to be overheard by Willow and her companions. In truth, even if the Wang family really went for the formal visit, it would only be a formality. The Su family had no need for betrothal offerings from the Wangs. After all, in this world, the number of families wealthier than the Su family could be counted on one hand. Upon hearing this, my mother immediately pulled out a finely bound book from her bag and handed it to Anna. Chapter 12. The Aura of the Wang Family's Madam. Anna, although you said before that the Wang family didn't need to prepare anything and that holding the wedding on schedule would be enough, the formalities still have to be observed. Auntie has prepared a dowry. Take a look first, and if anything is missing, I'll add more. As my mother spoke, she opened the exquisitely bound book in her hands. The moment it was opened, photos of various pieces of jewelry and ornaments filled the pages. Among them were rare treasures bought at high prices in auctions, as well as heirlooms passed down through the Wang family for generations. Items so precious that outsiders rarely even had a chance to see them. In addition, there were also several share transfer documents, numbering in the hundreds, so many that the thick book was almost too heavy for one hand to hold. Standing to the side, I understood perfectly. My mother was essentially offering half the Wang family to Anna. But I didn't feel the slightest reluctance. After all, Anna would be my family in the future. Letting her see these things now was merely giving her an advance look at what already belonged to her. Naturally, Anna realized the value of these betrothal gifts and was just about to decline them when Willow suddenly snatched the book from her and exclaimed, her voice trembling, "Auntie, are you really handing over the entire Wang family to her? She's just a mute. Has the Wang family lost its mind?" Maria added in a more tactful tone, "Auntie, are you truly going to let a mute marry into the Wang family? The whole country will laugh at you. How about this? Keep the wedding as planned, but on the day, just switch her out for me. Say that she refused to marry." Before she could finish, smack, the crisp sound of a slap rang out. My mother had slapped Maria hard across the face. While everyone was still stunned, she spoke firmly, "As an elder, I normally shouldn't raise a hand against you. But the words you just spoke, Those aren't words fit for a human being. She yanked the bound book back from Willow's hands and warned coldly, "Let me make this clear. Anna is my daughter-in-law, the only daughter-in-law I recognize for the Wong family. Even if Anna decided she didn't want George and refused to marry him, George would rather stay single his whole life than marry either of you. So I advise you, give up on this idea. If either of you dare to call my daughter-in-law a mute again, every single time you say it, I will slap you again." As she spoke, she raised her hand once more, deliberately showing off the sharp new manicure she had just gotten. Maria, her face burning hotly from the slap, though not bleeding, understood that Madame Wong had already shown restraint. Covering her face quickly, she dared not make another sound. Willow too flushed with embarrassment but didn't dare speak again. It was Makoto instead who opened his mouth as if to mediate. "Auntie, shut up." My mother's eyes turned on him, filled with naked contempt. "And who the heck do you think you are? What right does a two-faced, ungrateful jerk like you have to even open your mouth here? Every damn word I waste on you is knocking days off my life. Butler, toss these total eyesores out right now. And from this moment on, they're banned, never gonna set foot in this house again. I ain't letting the Wong family's doors get dirted by trash like that." Back in her younger days, my mom was an absolute boss in those rich lady circles. But her vibe is even more badass and intimidating. The Tiffany manager had obviously heard all about her rep. Seeing her go all mama bear protecting Anna like that, dude finally chilled out and relaxed. Meanwhile, Mom had already grabbed Anna's hand, pulling her inside like she was her own daughter, or heck, even her little sister. "Listen, I've never vibed with those three kids. You can spot the sketchy vibes in them from a mile away. Anna, girl, your hands are straight up gorgeous, perfect for some cute manicures. But those natural nails? So pink and shiny, it'd be a total crime to mess them up with polish. My gal pals raved about nail stickers. One of these days, I'll drag you shopping and we'll snag some together. And your hair? How do you keep it so silky smooth and glossy? Don't stress, sweetie. I busted my butt learning sign language for a full week. Even if you sign super slow, I got you. Oh, you're telling me you whipped up your own shampoo?" Behind them, I swapped a quick look with the manager. His grin was real, but mine had a dash of that helpless vibe. Man, I feel like I've already lost Mom's top spot in her heart. When I was a kid and went mute for years, she never even tried learning sign language. She'd just say, when he feels like talking, he'll open his mouth on his own. The manager knew I wasn't legit bitter about it. He just smirked lightly. But pondering Anna's silence, he looked like he was about to spill something, but nah, he bit his tongue in the end. After all, some tea should only drop when the lady herself is ready to serve it. Chapter 13, An Unexpected Turn in the Engagement. Once Mom and the manager bounced, Anna and I finally got some alone time. I remembered Grandpa's advice from before, so I eased down in front of Anna and started signing to her. I straight up opened up about my old battles with autism and how there's always a chance it could flare up again. I also spilled my worries about her background, scared her folks might have issues with it. Anna picked up on my nerves, gently grabbed my hand, and hit me with a solid, reassuring vibe. These past days, with George's rock-solid protection and love for her, it just cranked up her confidence that she'd picked the right dude. So she signed, "My parents already know all about you." Truth is, way before George even knew her name, she'd been hyping him up to her parents in the Sue family. They're totally cool with us. They're globetrotting right now, but they're heading back ASAP. You'll meet them on our wedding day. Don't worry, babe. Everything's gonna go smooth as hell that day. Hearing that, the massive weight on my chest finally lifted. I looked at Anna with mad gratitude and dove headfirst into wedding prep. The betrothal thing the next day? Went off without a hitch, obs. And 3 days later, boom, wedding day. Ever since the day after Grandpa's epic birthday bash, when he announced publicly I'd be tying the knot soon, almost half a month flew by. The news spread like wildfire, and our wedding turned into the city's biggest buzz, owning the trending lists for days straight. To show major respect for Anna, the Wong fam went all out, no expense spared, booking the swankiest hotel in town. The wedding was one of the grandest spectacles the city had ever seen, hands down. Early that morning, I rolled up to the Sioux Place myself to scoop Anna and cruise to the hotel together. The luxury convoy drew a massive crowd of onlookers. Anna and I were chucking candies out to the peeps, spreading the joy vibes. But when I glanced over, I randomly spotted Willow and Maria in the mix. They'd shown up to gawk at the drama. Willow and Maria were blending in, snatching up candies like everyone else. But the second they clocked that the groom was me, their faces went ghost white. This time, the Wong fam didn't just do regular sweets. They mixed in little gold nuggets with the candies. Crowd went nuts, surging forward, grabbing like crazy, and shit got chaotic real quick. All of a sudden, Willow lost her damn mind, shoving wildly through the mob, desperate to get to the wedding car. "George! George!" she yelled. Maria got tossed around like a ragdoll too. Usually so obsessed with her perfect image, but now? No time to fix her hair, getting yanked into a hot mess. Hearing Willow's frantic screams, Maria finally snapped out of it, shaking her head like, "No way. How is this real? Why is George actually marrying that mute? It was just a dumb joke." I just pulled my eyes back, brushing off the chaos as some pointless sideshow. I'd spelled out my plans loud and clear a million times. I was marrying Anna. But they were way too cocky, or maybe still thought I was their little puppet to mess with whenever. Even when I pushed back sometimes, they never figured I'd actually cut the strings and bounce. That's why they blew off my words over and over. But right when the convoy was like 10 minutes from the hotel, the driver slammed the brakes hard and stopped dead. Chapter 14, Actions Match Words. I quick-steadied Anna, my eyes sharp as knives. "What the hell's going on?" Driver looked grim, pointing ahead. Mr. Wong, the eldest miss of the Liu family, blocked the road with her whole convoy. I rolled down the window and peeked out. Yep, Willow and Maria standing there, all aggressive. Their cars scattered everywhere, blocking the path, horns honking like madness. Willow and Maria marched right up to me, ignoring the chaos. Willow yanked the door open, grabbing at me like crazy. "George, how can you marry somebody else?" Maria, though, was sneakier. She went straight for Anna, words dripping venom. "You're nothing but a waitress, and a mute on top of that. You and George ain't even in the same league. Don't think some stupid bet makes you his wife. Get your ass out of the car now." I flung Willow's hand off and snapped, "It was you two who forced me into that lot drawing crap to pick a wife. Now that I've chosen, you're pissed?" Willow whined anxiously, "George, that was just a silly game. How could you take it for real? I know you're mad at us. I already snatched the ring back from Makoto. From now on, that ring's only yours." She reached out again while talking, but I shoved her hand away hard. "Save it. I'm marrying Anna today. If you try blocking us again, don't blame me for going rough." At that, Willow straight up lost it, screaming, "It must be that mute forcing you, huh? I'll yank her out myself right now." She lunged for Anna. I blocked her solid, putting Anna safe behind me. Willow and Maria couldn't even graze her dress. Maria's eyes teared up, looking at me all hurt. "George, you used to protect us." I let out a cold-ass laugh, mind flashing back. Back in the day, the three of us, Willow, Maria, and me, were tight, and I'd always frontline shield them from the bullshit. But little by little, they forgot I'm human too, that I can get hurt. Now they were just salty that their free bodyguard picked someone else, especially a chick they trash-talked as a mere waitress. That's all it boiled down to, their egos bruised to hell. Thinking that, my stare at them got even icier. "I told you already, I got nothing left with you too. So y'all better stay the fuck out of my sight. I don't want my wife feeling scared or upset. No, you can't marry her." Seeing I was dead set, Willow went full hysterical scream. She ditched all shame and planted herself in front of the wedding car. "If you want to get to the hotel, you'll have to run over my dead body." Watching Willow's shameless stunt, I balled my fist tight. Was she seriously trying to wreck the biggest day of my life? I roared, "Didn't you think about this shit when you dragged Anna into the drawing?" Willow flinched like it hit her. "It's because of your Wong family's old-school rule about actions matching words, right? That's why you're marrying her." I shot Anna a quick reassuring glance, then turned back to Willow and Maria, voice cold as ice. If Anna and I bail on the wedding, I'd break the ancestral rule, get kicked out the Wang family. Then I'd be flat broke, nothing. Would you still want to marry me then? That fire they came with? Totally fizzled. They swapped looks, speechless for a sec. Soon Willow piped up, but her voice was shaky now. Of course we would. Chapter 15. She made her move. Enough. I cut Willow's bullshit off cold. Your silence just now spilled the real tea. I stared him down, voice loaded with disappointment and straight rage. You always caped for Makoto just 'cause of his pretty face. And now, when I'm in the same spot he was, y'all go quiet. That proves it. You just want to control me, like bossing the Wang young master around boosts your clout in your fancy circles. My words hit like daggers, right in their soft spots. Embarrassment flashed on their faces. Yeah, nailed it. But Willow still squirmed. She clutched my hand tight, eyes begging. George, I really love you. If the ancestral rules bug you, whatever, you can just lie and say I drew the turtle that day. I should be the one marrying you. I just sneered. Back at the Wang villa, when Maria pulled the same stunt, she got slapped silly. Guess that slap skipped Willow, or she'd remember better. Right as I thought that, smet. A sharp slap echoed, red handprint popping on Willow's cheek. That's when I saw Anna had stepped up front, staring Willow down cold and ruthless. The manager behind translated, this slap's payback for the debt you owe George. I'm collecting it for him. Willow, don't you see how freaking ridiculous you look? When George was into you, you didn't appreciate shit. You stomped on his feelings. And now? What gives you the right to block the wedding car? On what grounds can you stop this wedding? You don't deserve George's kindness. Willow whipped her head, shocked. You, a damn waitress, dared hit me? She charged to yank Anna, but me and the manager blocked solid. Turns out Willow brought bodyguards to crash the procession. Lucky for us, Anna came prepared with her own crew. Her side dominated, taking down Willow's guards one by one. Then our bodyguards shoved Willow and Maria to the side and smashed their cars to bits. Willow screamed bloody murder. That Bentley cost over $1 million. Anna, you bitch, you dared wreck my car? I'll make you lose everything. Anna signed calm as hell. Since I dared smash it, I don't give a damn about that chump change. You blocked George from marrying me with your cars, so I'm clearing the damn obstacles for him. Willow glared at Anna's boss energy. You're just a waitress. How dare you? Anna gripped my arm tight, eyes steady. As long as George is down to marry me, I'll find endless guts for him. Seeing that, Maria finally got the picture and jumped in. George, we know you're not marrying this chick for real. If you bail, we'll apologize to Grandpa and everybody with you. Drawing lots was just a game. Don't tank your whole happiness over some dumb game. Willow caught on quick and added, yeah, George. Fine if you don't want to marry me, but you can't rush into this crap. Their play switched, now pretending it's all for my own good. But Anna, clinging silent to my arm, trembled a bit. Girl was nervous. All eyes on me, waiting. I breathed deep, slipped my arm from Anna's, then laced our fingers tight. Her palms sweaty as hell. When I spoke, she shook harder. I will never ditch Anna. Anna's face went from shock to thinking the worst, then locked in pure joy. Chapter 16. The Wedding. Gently, I tucked that stray hair behind Anna's ear and whispered soft, I'll never forget Grandpa's big birthday blowout, when you had my back and protected me. And that lot drawing for a wife, you stayed solid, always by my side. Now, no matter what anybody says, I ain't leaving you to deal alone. At that, Willow seemed to snap, or maybe if she can't have it, burn it down. She spun to Anna, smile all twisted evil. Don't get too cocky. George is only marrying you, cause of the Wang ancestral rule. He doesn't love you. A loveless marriage? Doomed to suck. Hearing that, I lifted Anna's hand high for all to see, kissed the back deep, voice booming firm. My marriage to Anna ain't just fate's setup, it's our souls clicking perfect. Her talent, her heart, her kindness, her realness, they've got me hooked bad. I love her rock solid, till death do us part. Anna's smile exploded. She clung tighter to my arm, mouthing silent, "I love you too." Our eyes locked, full of feels, then we turned and rolled on together. Behind, Willow and Maria, seeing it was over, broke down sobbing, begging me not to go. Obstacles gone, wedding car hit the hotel soon. To my shock, the entrance was packed with big-shot tycoons from everywhere. Obs there for Anna. These heavyweights not only showed, but stood respectful outside welcoming us. Seeing Anna, their faces went soft, warm like looking at their own kid. Then eyes on me, checked me out careful, but chill, zero disdain. Feeling my slight stiff vibe, Anna squeezed my arm gentle, eyes saying, "Today you're the groom, babe. Stage is yours." I sucked in a breath, steadied up, and strolled with Anna down the red carpet. Heading to the hall, I overheard guest whispers spilling the Su fam tea. Turns out Anna's the daughter of the Su clan, one of Huaxia's 4 mysterious powerhouse families. Low-key but scary strong, wealth that rivals countries. Flashback to my kid days when our fam money almost wrecked us, I got why the Zus stay humble and Anna too. Realized I wasn't marrying Anna for her fam, nah, for her real self, her goodness and skills. That thought loosened me up big time, natural vibe. So when I met Anna's parents in the hall, I kept it respectful but confident. Su parents were stoked with me. Knew George is sharp, but more kind-hearted from a solid fam key. Anna and George got years of deep love. Right then, watching us sign to each other, they saw the gentle patience in my eyes. Like manager Marco reported, I didn't hate Anna's silence. Opposite, their looks at me got even warmer. But, Chapter 17, Su father's recognition. When Mr. Su put Anna's hand in mine, he said, "If Anna hadn't been dead set on you, I'd have grilled you longer, kid. From now on, treat my daughter right." Then to the crowd, he went public. "Starting today, George is my Su family's son-in-law. Like the old saying, son-in-law's half a son. George is one of us now." Everybody there was sharp, got the weight of that. Instant they started treating me like family junior. Catching Anna's eye, I teased with a grin. "So does this mean I'm riding the Su fam's coattails and leveling up big time?" Anna blushed cute, tapped my chest light, then explained, "She's the baby of the Su fam, spoiled rotten from day one. But, 'cause she couldn't talk as a kid, parents spent over 10 years abroad hunting treatments. She only bounced back to the country a month ago." I was about to ask why the sudden return when toasts rolled in. So I grabbed my glass for now. Plenty came up, but knowing I'm groom with big night ahead, they kept it light, no forcing booze. By banquet end, guests dipping out, I was just buzzed, head clear. Mr. and Mrs. Su stuck till last. Anna chatted deep with Mom, while Dad eyed me aside for talk. Straight up, before marrying Anna, did you know her background? No hiding. Grandpa spotted Anna's killer qualities, figured she ain't ordinary. Worried Wang fam ain't good enough, he snooped quiet. Nothing turned up. But we both knew her roots way outclass ours. Didn't mention how I'd pushed to meet Su parents early, but Anna always shut it down. Mr. Su eyed me, satisfaction glint. Honest dude. But asked again, "Now you know, what you think?" I paused, then, "If Su fam's cool with me and Anna, what diff does background make to us?" His face stayed chill, but eyes peeled me layers deep. Then I felt the real crush from atop of the food chain boss. But I held eye contact steady, no flinch. Seconds later, pressure eased, his face warmed to a real smile. "If shit hits you can't handle, have Anna hit me up." Finally, he was good, handing Anna over to me full trust. Later, Su parents turned down my setup offers, kept traveling the world. Anna was used to it. Just grabbed my hand, headed to our bridal room. Helping Anna take off hair bling, I circled back. "Why'd you bounce back to the country all sudden?" And real talk, I'd always wondered. With Anna's everything, she could snag way better. Why me? Chapter 18, From now on I'll protect you. Anna dipped her head, took my hand, drew a smiley face in my palm. I froze, then it clicked hard. Remembered, years back, business trip abroad, saw dudes mocking a waitress. Called her mute, bullied. 'Cause silent, even whispered dragging her to a hotel. I couldn't take it, picked a fight on some excuse. Looked up, waitress watching whole time. To cheer her, I drew a smiley on the glass window, hoping she'd stay happy daily. Never thought that girl was Anna, and she'd held on to it forever. Anna said, "From that day I kept part-timing, hoping to find you someday." My condition wasn't fixed, so no plans to come home. But when parents mentioned a George sounding just like you, I jetted back to check. That day, trouble hit, I threw on waitress uniform. Saw you, thought you'd remember, but nah, ran into that mess. They were so damn cruel. How could they treat you like that? Seeing Anna all fired up defending me, cute as hell, my heart straight melted. Hugged her gentle, bit guilty. I really didn't recognize you, mostly 'cause you're way hotter now. With you here, ain't getting bullied no more. Anna nodded firm, eyes real. From now on, I'll protect you. Couldn't help grinning, kissed her forehead. She shyly snuggled into my arms. Thought she got scared, worried I was too forward, apologized quick. But Anna grabbed my face, planted one on the lips. Stunned, I kissed back. Wedding night? Barely slept. Souls synced perfect, cherished each other harder. Post-marriage, Anna stuck to my side like glue. Didn't want to treat abroad, so I dropped big bucks flying her old doc to China. Anna kept low-key life at Wang home. Knew she hated parties, so I hung with her more. Skipped most social shit unless must, then quicken out. One day, partner invited to Jasmine Pavilion for collab dates. Sounded classy, no red flags. Told Anna, headed out. Room had old school scent and vibe. Wrapped business, partner's phone rang. Took call, excused self for urgent, said wait. Eyed desserts on table, asked waiter menu to pick some for Anna. Staying put, selecting, sudden gauze wisp in face. Looked up, sexy chick in ancient courtesan getup, slow walking my way. Frowned, she veiled, couldn't see face. About to ask wrong room, when she swayed all seductive, starting a hot dance right there. Chapter 19, Digging One's Own Grave. Mind blanked with buzz, but fury sparked quick. I roared, "Who the fuck sent you here? Manager he? That shady partner from before?" Chick silent, just creeping closer, letting veils slip deliberate, seduction obvious as hell. Her hand reaching, I snatched sofa cushion, chucked full force. Even no touch, I ripped off suit jacket, trashed it, eyes screaming disgust. Hit and seeing my "you're diseased" stare, she froze shocked. I flashed ring finger, barked harsh, "I'm married. Even if not, I'd never mess with a chick like you. Get the hell out, now." Hearing, "a chick like you," she thought I pegged her wrong for some pro. Yanked veil off quick. Willow's face. "George, it's me." Maybe, 'cause she never had me, obsession lingered, or never really saw me clear before. Since our nasty blow-up on wedding day, couldn't stop thinking. Seeing me now, sudden realization, George is fine as hell, like fine wine, deep and classy. Makoto? Surface pretty, like gum losing flavor quick. No wonder she and Maria couldn't shake George all these years. Didn't get it before, but now, too late he's married. Still thought whatever. Years tangled, bet I couldn't resist her throwing it all out. Softened voice, stepped closer, "George, it's been ages. I missed you bad." Shock turned rage fast. "Willow, how many damn times? Nothing between us anymore. You know I'm married and pull this shit? What am I to you? Some horny dog can't control himself." Room sweet-scented, but stomach turned, bile up, couldn't stay. Turned to bounce. But Willow's eyes flashed evil, lunged to throw herself at me. Didn't touch, I kicked her down hard. Rage ate me, "Who gave you permission to touch? Willow, you disgust me, you're straight filthy." Spitting that, remembered partner's shady exit. Ups, Willow here planned he helped. Phone out, called him, deal dead, no collab ever. Plus, every Wang ally blacklists your ass forever. Basically nuked his business life. He panicked explaining but hung up, blocked. Chapter 20, The Nation's Husband. Willow on floor saw my ruthless side. Thought of her humble tries, ending like this, total breakdown, screamed, "So you really that into Anna? Or just her fam background?" Wedding day, she'd heard vague Sue rumors. Knew Anna's roots topped even Wang's. Just fueled her denial. So what if Sue rich? Our Lu fam could back you too. Anna Sue's just a mute, can't even drag to events. Chick stuck home all day, what kind of future? This her winning plan over Anna? I laughed furious. Forget Anna's amazing all around, even if ordinary girl, as my wife, I'd treasure and stay loyal. Ain't that basic couple shit, the diff between human and animal? Just 'cause you trash love don't mean we all do. Didn't glance her pale wrecked face again, strode out. But door, smiling eyes waiting. Anna there a while. Quick explained everything. Anna listened quiet. We promised from jump, open book couple, clear shit, no suspicion room. Finished, sighed relief, Anna signed grinning. Willow texted me to come. Knew she tryna rile me. But I trust you 100%. Figured she'd dig her own grave, so I showed to watch the clown show. Her smug playful vibe rare. I stepped up, hugged tight. Wife, it's dope finding someone who vibes with me this deep. Anna got my real meaning. She stays in mostly, but knows rumors about me. Rich bosses and spoiled brats around? All wild, hate my chill self-control. Try dragging me into their booze and mess life. But I shut 'em down hard every time. So they started spreading rumors, calling me pretentious or straight up mocking me like I was some clueless fool. Some dudes even made up total lies, saying I was incompetent as a man. Man, those baseless accusations pissed me off big time, but I stuck to my principles like glue. To me, loyalty was as natural and simple as breathing, yet just as freaking essential. And Anna was the one who truly got me. At our core, we were the same kind of people. But the drama didn't stop there. That salty business partner, out for revenge, started spreading nasty rumors. They claimed I wasn't as clean as I seemed, that my private life was actually straight up depraved. They said I only canned the deal and blacklisted his company 'cause I'd gotten rejected from some shady spot. People eat up gossip, especially when it flips everything upside down. The story blew up like wildfire, shooting straight to the trending lists. But right when the rumors were about to go totally out of control, a video dropped that flipped everything on its head. It was footage from the Jasmine Pavilion's private room, showing some chick trying to seduce me, and me shutting her down hard, sternly rejecting her. Once it got released, the Jasmine Pavilion dropped a statement confirming the video was legit. The woman was indeed brought in by that business partner, not even affiliated with the pavilion. They spilled that he'd failed to lure me in and then tried to smear me with lies. At the same time, my homies and partners stepped up to vouch for me, listing mad examples of my conduct, proving I was indeed a rare clean stream in muddy waters. In a snap, my image wasn't just restored, it got boosted. The words I dropped in that private room spread everywhere. Whenever someone repeated the old saying, all men are the same, or every man makes mistakes, there'd always be voices firing back with, George ain't like that. And so I became the model of the nation's husband, and a straight benchmark for male virtue. Chapter 21, Meeting again. Deep down, I knew it clear as day. It was Anna who'd quietly handled those messy troubles behind the scenes. She was always like that, silently sweeping obstacles out of my way, making me treasure this heavenly gift even more, bro. That day, I planned to take her to cop some furniture in her fave blue to deck out our home. We hit up the dopest Tiffany Furniture Center in the city. The second Anna stepped through the doors of Tiffany, the manager came rushing over all eager. Miss, whatever you like, I'll have it delivered straight to your crib. Before I could even speak for her, a sharp cry rang out nearby. You can't treat me like this. I have money, I'll pay it back. Turning my head, I saw Makoto surrounded by several burly dudes, shouting at the top of his lungs. The manager hurried to explain, that one's a deadbeat debtor. Used to bring rich women here, buy stuff, and then return it. For a long-ass time, we didn't check too closely. But when we finally did, every item he returned was a damn counterfeit. We sent people to collect the debt, but he kept stalling. It's been a real headache for us. I was gonna dodge the mess and bounce with Anna, but Makoto spotted me instantly. Like a rabid dog, he rushed over and clutched my leg, wailing, George, please save Willow. Her family is about to force her into an arranged marriage. She's sacrificing herself to keep you from falling into ruin. I don't have enough money to save her. George, I know you hate me, but you can't just abandon Willow. Please lend me some cash to rescue her. Hearing this, I was straight baffled. Willow in an arranged marriage? What did that have to do with borrowing money from me? Besides, wasn't an arranged marriage actually a solid thing for Willow? Anna, soft-hearted as hell, had never exposed Willow for what went down at the Jasmine Pavilion, already saving her face. With Willow's temperament, she'd eventually let Makoto sweet-talk her into marrying him. But could Makoto ever afford to keep her up? An arranged marriage at least guaranteed her a lifetime of comfort. Seeing me unmoved, Makoto got frantic, shouting loud enough for everybody to hear, "You can't just forget your old love because you have a new one." That one sentence instantly drew the crowd's attention. Look at him, dressed all proper, but he's a heartless scumbag. He's on his knees, must be suffering some grave injustice. At the comments, I sneered coldly. You want to borrow money? Is it really for Willow, or for your gambling habit? Makoto froze, then stammered defensively, "Of course it's for Willow. I didn't mean to gamble, it was for her. I wanted her to live better. That's why I gambled." So that's why you seduced so many women, made them pay for you, and pawned off counterfeits as real? That's what you call ensuring Willow's happiness. The word gambling turned the crowd against him in a hot second. Gamblers are born liars. And he even dared to slander others? How vile. The manager stepped forward at just the right moment, casting a glance around before adding, "And he had the nerve to defame our nation's husband. He deserves every bit of this." The nation's husband? The crowd had of course heard of the name, but I kept a low profile, and few photos of me existed online. Now seeing me in person, all eyes fixed on me. So this is the nation's husband. Such righteous elegance. He really does live up to the name. As they swarmed around me like fans, someone suddenly shouted, "That gambler's trying to run." The crowd instantly remembered, surrounding him and shouting angrily, "How dare you bite back like a rabid dog and slander the nation's husband? Don't you know he's a true friend of women? It's because of him that I believe in men again, in love, in marriage. He's my dream, my emotional support. Anyone who tries to shatter that is as good as a murderer. You deserve death." In moments, Makoto was beaten black and blue, fleeing in disgrace. And right then I realized, my steadfastness and the Wang family's fidelity to marriage truly held profound meaning. Afterward, Anna and I finished picking our furniture and headed home. I thought no more of the matter. But the next morning, upon waking, I discovered that a video of Makoto calling me a scumbag had already hit the trending list. Chapter 22, Forgiveness with Cameras. The video had been cut and spliced, seemingly manipulated behind the scenes. So some clueless netizens relying only on fragments quickly branded me a scumbag. Makoto had a decent face, and some people, swayed by looks alone, stood unconditionally on his side. They launched waves of online attacks against Anna and me. But soon, without even needing Anna or me to clarify, people who had been present at the scene released the full unedited video. In an instant, Makoto became a rat crossing the street, and it wasn't long before people even dug up his history of preying on wealthy women. Wave after wave of revelations sent Makoto to the top of the trending lists. Makoto must have thought the truth would never come out so fast, that he could at least gain a wave of fans and cash in. But he hadn't expected the sheer force of money and influence to leave him nowhere to hide. His few tens of thousands of fans all abandoned him, turning to attack. So much for being a devoted second male lead. Turns out he's the real male version of a gold digger. Easy money, huh? Just act pitiful and rich women fall for it. Ladies, don't be fooled by this kind of parasite. Gambling will ruin you for life. He even had the audacity to bite back, crying wolf. Seems yesterday's beating was too light. If anyone spots him, please give him a good smack, $20 per slap, 50 per kick. Makoto's account was permanently banned by the platform. Word spread that he was hiding in a rented flat, too afraid to step outside. Truly, evil met its own retribution, no sympathy deserved. I hardly gave him another thought. Just when I believed the matter had finally settled, Maria released a video statement. She claimed to be one of the victims of this scumbag who preyed on rich women. Makoto had professed love for her, constantly asking her for money and luxury goods. Because she liked him, she had bought him countless gifts. But he turned out to be nothing more than a shameless leech. The internet quickly rallied in sympathy. When people saw Maria's beauty paired with her pitiful story, they grew fond of her at once. To thank her new supporters, she announced a promotion. Anyone purchasing a property in Lin Real Estate's development would receive a 20% discount. Maria Lin was clever. She knew the wealthy woman persona sold well. With a single video, she gained hundreds of thousands of followers, boosting even her company's stock price. After that, I stopped paying attention, focusing instead on renovating our marital home with Anna. When we had rushed to marry, we hadn't made many changes to the house. Now knowing Anna's tastes and habits better, I decided to redesign it thoroughly. Our new home was nearly finished when one day I ran into Maria at the door. She stood there holding a bouquet of flowers with several cameras behind her. When she saw me, her face lit up with joy. "George, I've been waiting for you for so long. I'm here to apologize. I was wrong before. I listened to slander, trusted Makoto, and did many things that hurt you. But we grew up as childhood sweethearts. Even if you're married now, aren't I still your little sister? Won't you forgive me and give me another chance?" Camera lenses zoomed in on me. I looked at the meticulously dressed Maria. She knew the internet already recognized me as married, recognized me as the nation's husband. So she couldn't, like Willow, try to play the homewrecker. Instead, she chose to play the family card, retreating in order to advance. Chapter 23, The Deeper They Dig. I looked at the bouquet of flowers in her arms, then at the cameras practically shoved into my face and asked mockingly, "Are you really here to apologize?" Maria froze for a moment, then quickly nodded. "Yes, I hope you can forgive my past mistakes." I sneered. "If this is an apology, why did you bring red roses? Since when do red roses mean apology? And another thing," I pointed at the cameras. "What does bringing them mean? We grew up together, yes, but that's all in the past. I don't want to rehash what happened before. I already told you I don't want any more ties with you. As for this so-called brother-sister nonsense, you should know this. In the Wang family, there's only me. I have no sisters. I'm married, and I don't need a so-called adopted little sister. So don't disturb my life again. Don't cause trouble for my wife again. Otherwise, I will report you for harassment." Maria's eyes reddened on cue, making her look heartbreakingly pitiful. She displayed her sorrow clearly for the cameras, then even tried to pull at me, "George," but I stepped aside, avoiding her touch. "Please watch your behavior. No pulling and tugging. And I've said it before, I am not your brother. Address me properly by my full name, or better yet, don't call my name at all. Don't appear before me again." Even after such blunt words, Maria, desperate for traffic, still tried to entangle herself further. I exposed her motives directly. "So you've thrown away your dignity just for clicks? Is this what passes for Lin family upbringing? Let me be perfectly clear, you may want to use me, you may want to ride my popularity, but whether that happens depends on me, not you." Sensing conflict, the cameras zoomed in on my face. But I didn't care in the slightest. All I wanted was to protect the person I loved. So I declared loudly, "Maria, let me tell you this, my wife trusts me completely. That makes everything you're doing a complete waste of effort. But still, having flies buzzing around is annoying. You have 1 minute. If you're not gone by then, I'll call the police." And in front of all those cameras, I pulled out my phone and started dialing. Seeing I was serious, the cameraman Maria had hired realized they were in the wrong. After all, this could count as trespassing, so they tried to drag Maria away. But Maria kept looking back with every step, acting like a betrayed, heartbroken girl. To the uninformed, it looked like I was the cold-hearted man who had crushed her. Maria used these videos to paint herself as the abandoned childhood sweetheart, convinced it would give her another burst of popularity. But she hadn't expected things to backfire. This time, the audience turned on her. Netizens replayed the footage again and again, analyzing my words frame by frame. So there really are men who can see through pretentious coquettes, and are immune to them. Maybe all those excuses about not recognizing them are just as fake as the excuse of, I was drunk and couldn't control myself. Finally, someone exposed the truth. The public's eyes are sharp after all. That Ignatian's husband truly deserves the name. A small faction of Maria's die-hard fans, along with her hired bots, tried to spin the story, claiming I was just building a devoted husband persona. They said that anyone so cold toward his childhood sweetheart couldn't possibly be faithful in love. But in bringing this up, they accidentally kicked a hornet's nest. Because immediately, people began digging deeper, pulling out stories of my childhood entanglements with Maria and Willow, and later with Makoto. Chapter 24, Their Ending. I watched the videos from their childhood. Wasn't Maria and Willow's treatment of George nothing more than making him their little errand boy? They kept him from attending gym class, even sent him running several miles under the blazing 30-degree sun just to buy them their favorite snacks, just so they could brag to their girlfriends about how obedient and useful their little lackey was. Did they ever truly care about George? Poor little George, and to think he was the only son of the Wong family. In front of them, he wasn't even treated as well as a servant. And yet he endured it for over 10 years. Maria and Willow, they're heartless. And that scumbag Makoto. He was actually a scholarship student sponsored by the Wong family. But in the end, it was the farmer and the snake all over again. No wonder so many people would rather help stray animals than ever sponsor another person again. Truly chilling. Did you see the news from a year ago? Maria and Willow, just to humor Makoto, actually abandoned George at a toll station. Those three are wolves in human skin. They're not people at all. The deeper the netizens dug, the more they uncovered just how vicious the trio of Willow, Maria, and Makoto had been. Their past bullying of classmates and abuse of power were all exposed. Very soon, even the Liu family and the Lin family suffered collateral damage. Their company's stock prices plummeted sharply. And in contrast, I was like a bright moon hanging high, and even my own company rose like a rocket. I became the very embodiment of loyalty and marriage. Many online voices said how envious they were of Anna, that she had been lucky enough to meet and hold onto such a one-in-a-million man. But I responded by saying, there are many Georges in the world, but only one Anna, meaning that there are many good men out there too. That perspective gained me the admiration of countless men who became my loyal supporters. Of course, none of this truly affected my life because I lived my days for myself. I continued a loving life with Anna, and we went on our honeymoon. When we returned, we heard the news. Willow had married Makoto. It wasn't that the Liu family had abandoned her. Rather, Willow had become pregnant with Makoto's child. Apparently, Makoto had tricked her into leaving home, and when Willow Liu returned, she was already carrying his child. She wanted to terminate the pregnancy. She didn't want Makoto's child nor to be tied to him. But a pregnant Willow had lost her value for an arranged marriage. In the end, she had no choice but to marry Makoto. The next time I saw Willow was at a street food stall. Gone was her former arrogance. She avoided my eyes, finally venting her frustration on Makoto instead. The customers here, hurry up and serve the food. Makoto had changed from a delicate pretty boy into a greasy middle-aged man, his hair messy, his face covered in stubble. Though clearly unhappy with Willow's bossing, he restrained himself, still hoping to squeeze more benefits from the Liu family through her. So he kept silent, but the effort showed on his face. His expression darkened with hostility, his hands striking the cooking utensils harder and louder. Chapter 25, The Finale. Seeing the scene, I shook my head. I had once thought Makoto's personality was just awkward, but only recently did I understand. His problem was that he always wanted both ways. If he truly loved money, he could have chosen a wealthy woman, treated her well, and been loyal to her. After all, there are many wealthy women in this world who crave love, and they had once been taken in by his good looks. But instead, he played with feelings, trying to toy with one rich woman after another, until eventually he ended up despised by everyone, abandoned and cursed. Later, he chose to be with Willow, but even then he used despicable means to get her. The result? His life still turned into a complete mess. I simply pulled Anna away. My wife is pregnant. She doesn't eat this. Even far from the stall, I could still hear Willow and Makoto screaming at each other hysterically, frightening customers away. Hearing it, I sighed helplessly. Street food stalls aren't shameful at all. So long as one lives by their own effort, it is honorable. But Willow was never content with her circumstances. Before, she was dissatisfied with me, dissatisfied with arranged marriages, and in the end, even after marrying Makoto, she remained dissatisfied. How could anyone live well if they were always discontent? But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. Not long after, I ran into Maria again in the square. Since her attempt to use me backfired, her pitiful White Lotus persona was shattered, branded as a pretentious coquette. From then on, it was as if she had gone mad for fame, desperately trying to walk the path of infamous notoriety. But netizens no longer bought it. In fact, they despised her more and more. At that moment, in front of the cameras, she was trying to make another cheap stunt, but security drove her off. Get lost. Hurry up and get out of here. It's people like you who corrupt the kids. If you dare come back, I'll smash your phone. Maria fled in disgrace. I felt no sympathy. In the end, every person walks the path they choose. If someone insists on heading into darkness, what does that have to do with others? I supported pregnant Anna as we strolled leisurely forward. Still, there were always those who doubted that a man could remain faithful for life, that true lifelong love existed. So they kept trying to secretly follow and film us. But 10-20 years passed. By the time we celebrated our silver wedding, golden wedding, even diamond wedding anniversaries, we never once felt the so-called 7-year itch. Instead, our love only deepened. Even after Anna's muteness was cured, I still preferred using sign language with her. When our hands spoke, our gazes met, as if the world around us disappeared, leaving only each other. What other men might see as a flaw had become our private romance. One day, as we prepared to go out, I wanted to choose blue jewelry for my silver-haired Anna. But she teasingly refused, saying blue was pure and youthful, while her beauty had long faded. I gently touched her wrinkled face, my gaze as full of love as the day we first met. Signing, I told her, every jewel in this world, no matter how rare, is counterfeit in my eyes. The only true masterpiece is your face.